Hey guys, it's Megan. In today's video, I'll be showing you 5 Christmas drawing prompts that you can use to fill your sketchbook. But before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I added a few new designs to my merch store. I also got a few blog posts up this week. The links for everything will be down in the description. And with all that being said, let's just get into the video. The first idea I have for you guys is to design your own Christmas ornament. You could draw a more traditional ornament shape, but I decided to go with an ugly Christmas sweater instead. This was based off of a Home Alone themed sweater that I saw at Target, which I totally would have bought if it wasn't cropped. I still don't understand why they feel the need to make everything a crop top now. Maybe you can get away with that in Florida or California or something, but I live in rural Pennsylvania, okay? I'm sure, high-waisted pants exist, but anyways. Let me know if you have an opinion on crop tops down below. They're fine for the summer, but I still don't understand the point of a long sleeve crop top, which, don't get me wrong, I own a few, but still don't get the point of them. But anyways, if you do this, you don't really have to color it. I just like to color things in to make these videos a little bit more interesting for you guys. I filled the sweater in with a red Ohuhu marker and painted on the details with white acrylic paint. For some reason, the marker was not having it with the paint, so all of the letters are a little bit pink, but it's fine. To turn the drawing into an ornament, I traced it onto some clear shrink plastic. First, I outlined it with a thin Sharpie, and then I drew on the letters with a white Prismacolor colored pencil. Here's what it looked like when I was done. Cut the ornament out, and make sure to punch a hole at the top to hang it. I baked the ornament according to my package directions, and when it cooled, I painted the back with red acrylic paint. This is a good way to save time if you don't feel like coloring in between each letter, although I did end up needing a few coats of paint. When the paint dried, I covered the front of my ornament with some Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. This will help seal in the colored pencil and gives it a more finished look. To hang my ornament, I just looped some thread through the hole at the top, tied the ends together, and stuck it on my tree. If you have a more complicated piece that you don't feel like drawing a second time, they make shrink plastic that you can print onto, so you could just scan your art and do it that way. And of course I needed to add a background to my sketchbook page because we all know that I'm extra, so I just filled it with green paint and drew a few curved lines with my Micron pens. Then I added these Christmas light stickers that I got from Target. So here's how the finished page turned out. It's not super fancy, but it was really fun to draw. Another thing you can do is to design your own ugly Christmas sweaters. I feel like that would make a cool page. I don't know about you guys, but I always have a crap ton of wrapping paper left over after Christmas. I always feel bad throwing so much of it away, so this year I thought it would be fun to reuse some of it in my sketchbook. This drawing was based off of a photo of myself, and not gonna lie, she's looking a little rough. I was trying to do a more simple style, but with more realistic proportions. I had to improvise with the right arm since I didn't want her to be holding a phone, so I just dropped the arm down and made her holding a shopping bag instead, and that was an issue because I did not know how to, I didn't have a reference, so she's looking a little rough, but it's okay. As usual, I colored the majority of the drawing with a combination of my Winsor & Newton and Ohuhu markers. I left the dress and the shopping bag blank so I could fill them in with wrapping paper. For the dress, I used a thin piece of computer paper to trace over the general outline. I cut that out, flipped it over, and traced it onto the back of my wrapping paper. Then I cut out the wrapping paper dress, flipped it back to the right side, and attached it to my page with a glue stick. Since my wrapping paper was double-sided, I cut a piece from the other side to fill in the shopping bag. I decided I wanted wrapping paper in the background as well, so I cut my drawing out. I glued another piece of wrapping paper onto the back of the sweater page and stuck my drawing on top. So here's how the finished page turned out. I really liked finding ways to use recycled materials that aren't traditionally thought of as art supplies in my sketchbook. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite recycled art supply is. Another thing you can do is to draw what you want for Christmas. My mom asks me what I want every year, and honestly, it can be kind of a struggle to think of things. While I was searching, I came up with a few different gift guides, which you can find on my website if you need more inspiration. The first thing on my list is a jelly plate. I've seen so many beautiful mixed media pieces made with these, and they look like a lot of fun. It's basically a plastic slab that you put paint on and then put paper on top of the paint to make a print. I'm always looking for ways to use up extra paint, and this looks perfect for the job. I'm also asking for a photography light box. Over the summer, I got better at taking photos of my art outside for Instagram, but it's been super cloudy and gross outside lately, and it only gets worse as the winter goes on, so I thought this might be a good, fairly inexpensive solution. The next thing on my list is a laminator and laminating sheets. I always do projects and I think, wow, this would look a lot nicer if I had a laminator, and I've just wanted one of these for years, but I always forget to buy one. Another thing that would be cool to get is a hydro flask, but I told my mom only to get it if it's on sale because I don't care how nice it is, $50 for a water bottle is kind of insane. I also put a clear desk mat on my list because you may have noticed that my contact paper has definitely seen some better days. The last thing on my list is an HP Sprocket portable photo printer. The cool thing about this printer is the film that it uses. It's basically water-resistant sticker paper. I have a ton of ideas for this. The pictures are less bulky, so they would be great to stick in my sketchbook. It would also be great for making laptop or water bottle stickers. I feel like I don't need to talk about the coloring on this one, you guys know the drill, but here's how the finished page turned out. It's fun to look back on stuff like this to see what you were interested in during a particular year. The next idea I have for you guys is to draw a scene from your favorite Christmas movie. Now, my favorite Christmas movie has always been Eloise at Christmas Time. And I would just like to point out that the actress who played Eloise, Sofia Vasileva, who is super sweet by the way, is now 27 years old. We actually have the same birthday, but she's a few years older than me. I just felt the need to point that out in case YouTube decides to come for me. This movie came out in 2003. The intended audience is now at least 22 years old, so hi, hello government, please don't sue me. Anyways, I decided to go for a more realistic style for this drawing. I'm still working on how I draw more realistic people, but I like drawing them in black and white, honestly because it's faster. I think the face would have looked okay if I had just stopped here, and this kind of made me want to experiment with cell shading just using markers next time. For these types of drawings, I usually start with a layer of marker and then use a few different pencils to shade. I layered a number 2 pencil, a black Prismacolor, and a white Prismacolor pencil on the face, which took quite a while to get right. I really messed up the eyebrows, but thankfully I managed to fix it somewhat eventually. I usually just use my gray Winsor & Newton set for these types of drawings, but I used a lighter Ohuhu marker too this time, and I feel like that was kind of a mistake because it gave the drawing sort of a blue undertone. I always liked this movie because it was never as overplayed as something like Home Alone or Elf, which still love those movies, but seen them a million times. And they used to show it on ABC during their 25 Days of Christmas lineup, but I looked and it's not on the schedule this year, which I need some new Christmas movies to watch, so if you guys have any suggestions, definitely let me know. When I finished coloring Eloise, I moved on to the background. I painted the background pink and her pillows white. I outlined the pillows with a black Posca pen, and here's how the finished page turned out. I definitely still need more practice drawing people, but I still think it looks alright. The last idea I came up with is to design your own wrapping paper. I did this half digitally, but you really don't need to make it as complicated as I did. This was inspired by Baylee Jae's How to Make a Pattern video, and I'll make sure to link it down below. First, I cut a piece of cardstock down to make an 8x8 inch square. Then I sketched out my design. I wanted to make wrapping paper inspired by the spaghetti scene from the movie Elf. When you're sketching, make sure to leave a little bit of white space around the edges. I wanted to line my sketch digitally, but please make this easier on yourself and outline everything before moving on to the next step. Flip your paper over and cut it in half. Bring the right page over to the left side and line up the top edge with the middle of your other piece of paper. Tape the paper together and cut off the square that's hanging off the edge. Bring that square up to fill in the empty space and use more tape to secure it. When you flip it over, it should look something like this. Fill in any blank spots on the pattern, scan the drawing into your computer, and import it into your editing program. Tile it so that the objects in the pattern line up. I use the Autodesk Sketchbook app on my iPad for this. When my pattern was complete, I printed it out and stuck it in my sketchbook. I know I keep mentioning my website, but if you want a copy of this, I do have it over there as a free download. I colored the pattern in using Crayola Super Tip markers, and here's how the finished page turned out. I definitely want to experiment with making more patterns. Let me know what design you would put on your wrapping paper down below. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like this one. My merch, my website, and all of my social medias will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!